in that late game, he starts going for that shield upgrade as quick as possible.
In the top left, we have the Protoss player who has gone up 1 against 0. It is PalaDiN.
In the bottom right, our Terran player wearing the red trunks, trying to come back from several string losses together. Can he do it? His name is MechTastic. So watch this early game pretty close because I'm expecting something interesting. Maybe we will be surprised and they'll just play normal, but I'm really thinking that MechTastic is going to have something different up his sleeve.
Well, it's hard to tell what his mindset is right now. It's possible that he's just not been feeling like he's been performing his build orders properly and is going to continue to try and do that, to hone that build or tighten it up, rather, so that it's more effective. But you've got to think that doing the same thing over and over and over, you've got to make a change at some point. You've got to at some point say to yourself, this isn't working.
This map has a much farther rush distance too, so that could play a factor, as if he was to do a similar push like he has the last couple games with the just making a lot of Marines and pushing across the map. It would be much harder to reinforce as this probe and SCV give each other a hug in the middle of the map. So I feel like that play in general will be a little bit weaker. Probe coming up into the base to see a barracks in production. SCV going to get hot on that and not let him do any harassment to that SCV that's making the barracks. Barracks completed. Marine gets queued up. SCV starts heading out. Where's he going to go?
Cybernetics Core goes down.
I think this SCV's got a plan, and PalaDiN knows it because he's not letting him get too far away. Marine comes out to take care of that probe. Oh, a early super duper expand. 1 Rax expand out of MechTastic. Kind of similar to last game. He wanted to make sure that probe got out of there, so he did not see it. Cybernetics Core finishing, the Zealot chasing down an SCV. Looks like a chrono boosted Stalker out of the gateway. Just want to take a second in this early game to thank you all so much for coming to join us this evening.
Absolutely.
Afternoon. Is it afternoon? Evening? It's getting there. We're in Michigan Eastern time, 5:30. Still got a couple more games. We've now moved into our best of 5 series, so it'll be a little bit extended. Stalker's trying to take some hits on that SCV.
Looks like PalaDiN is opting to take a natural as well, having seen the early natural taken by MechTastic.
He actually has not seen that if we look at PalaDiN's vision.
Correct.
That Marine came out and pushed that probe out just as that SCV is going up there. But I have a sneaking suspicion that PalaDiN knows that there's an early expand, because that SCV wouldn't have had much else of a reason of really being insistent on going down into that area.
Yeah, agreed.
Stalker, Zealot, and Mothership Core headed out across the map.
But that bunker
down,
does finish, and he is loading up.
Stalker's going to be repelled. Those Marines just jump out of there, tasting blood on that Stalker, wanting to finish it off. CD going out, is this going to be a scout, or is he going to possibly come down here and throw down an early third base? Looks like it's going to be a scout. Mothership Core hanging out at PalaDiN's ramp. Pulling those SCVs down to saturate the natural expansion. SCV comes in to scout that base, walks around, sees no gas, no probes. Sees them start to come in now. PalaDiN does take the tower up here, which we've seen MechTastic, when he does those drops, he likes to really hug the edge and move along the top, so that could possibly scout a drop if he was to do something along those lines. Factory going down, so he's likely working towards that path.
Robotics facility inbound. And a gateway now.
This is an interesting switch up from PalaDiN. He hasn't been going robo as much.
Looks like he's just trying to get that observer out, trying to figure out what's going on over there.
That is the case, though. He has not gotten a whole lot of scouting done. If we look at his vision, he has only seen the initial barracks, supply depot, and that bunker that he ran into with that stalker.
Stim pack about a minute from finishing. Factory creating a reactor for the starport. They will be swapped once both of those structures are finished.
It's like Marauder and Marine production coming out. Another reactor and tech lab going down on the barracks. Starport constructing just as the reactor on the factory's going, which I think is what you just said. Gonna do a swap on that, get those medevacs out, as he's doing a similar push with 2 Marauders and several Marines across the center of the map. See if it works out any different for him this time. Mothership core is ready with energy for a photon overcharge as well as an immortal. If he target fires that immortal on the Marauders, this is going to be squashed pretty quickly. Stimming 1 Marine up to see what's there. I think it's going to be wise that he just pulls on back.
Those medevacs are about to finish, and they will meet up with the army at the front.
Looks like MechTastic is going to be going with a similar biocomposition as his factories, flying across the map to give some vision, likely up over that cliff.
And he just has his barracks currently rallied with the rest of his army, although he's pulling back a little bit. Gonna want to grab that Marine. He gets it.
PalaDiN going after the rocks to his third base, which is going to be indicative that he's going to want to take that. He's really powering up again. He's got a slight food lead over MechTastic, a little bit less this time because MechTastic has been a little more cautious with his units. But MechTastic still being the aggressor in this game. PalaDiN's just had the intuition to sit back and defend.
But now we see a warp prism going across the map.
He knew that attack was coming, quickly put that photon overcharge on that Nexus and shuts that down before it even starts. Combat shield about a third done, concussive shell about half done. So Terran has some key upgrades that are just finishing. He's moving in before they do. In fact, he's going to actually stim out. Oh, time bomb goes down, but Protoss decides not to press.
MechTastic is putting down a command center in his main, but will fly it down to a third as soon as it finishes. But we do see the warp prism going down and immediately warping in 3 zealots. And they're going to kill that worker SCV and start whacking away.
Since PalaDiN hasn't had as much pressure put on him this game, he has the ability to go out and put some pressure on himself, that warp prism, and because MechTastic is so pushed forward with his units trying to do these constant push, he doesn't have much in his main. It's forcing all the SCVs out of the main to mining to going back to the natural.
And it looks like PalaDiN's going to be teaching MechTastic a lesson in how to do a drop.
As MechTastic does drop in the mineral line of PalaDiN, PalaDiN was caught off guard as he's microing his own units in MechTastic's base. MechTastic will get out scot-free, maybe losing 1 SCV. Those zealots in MechTastic's base are still wreaking havoc, forcing MechTastic's army to come all the way back across the map to deal with these 3 zealots. Very good drop.
MechTastic looks like he's forgotten about 3 Marines in the base, or at the base of the ramp leading into Protoss.
2 Vikings come out. MechTastic army is going back to the ramp by his natural as the warp prism does come back. Looks like he's going to warp in 3 more zealots to try and press this advantage even more. Food differential pretty telling at this point. PalaDiN 123 to 85.
And it looks like MechTastic accidentally had his SCVs attacking his refinery as opposed to mining from it or repairing it.
I did see that. Whoops.
Yeah, that is an error. That is going to hurt.
Frustration clearly being shown on MechTastic's part. Let's see if he can take a breath, pull it together, and try and come back in this game. The warp prism now is warping in a zealot over the base, forcing a cancel and a loss of 100 minerals on that command center.
2 SCVs do go down, but the Vikings are there to clean up that Warp Prism.
MechTastic saying no more Warp Prism, thank you very much. PalaDiN now has 2 Colossus, several Sentries, Zealots, and Stalkers at his third base, making sure that's protected. The factory of MechTastic is still hanging out above the natural of PalaDiN. Looks like both players just taking a minute to take a break and get their macro in order. MechTastic looks like he is loading up a medevac. Whoa, little misclick there.
Extended Thermal Lance has just finished, and it does appear that PalaDiN has an upgrade lead with 1-1 ground, while Terran MechTastic sits at 1 currently.
There is an observer over Terran's army. That's been one thing that PalaDiN has done a good job of, is keeping an observer in range of that army, so he is well prepared at what he needs to do to be able to counter this. But it looks like MechTastic is going to take the army in the front and do a drop in the back to see if a double-pronged attack can throw PalaDiN for a loop. PalaDiN's army is looking mighty formidable there as he comes down, as he knows where that army's coming in, though. MechTastic just waiting to see what PalaDiN's army does before he decides what to do with that drop. Pulling his army around the ramp by the natural, hoping again to pull that army away.
PalaDiN decides to just move forward, try and get some kills, and MechTastic scrambles to get out of there, but he just GG's, decides he doesn't have a chance there.
MechTastic looks like he's really starting to struggle in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of fatigue is sitting in, maybe a little bit of frustration, but can he find something, some build, something that can come out to give him a little bit of an advantage, is the question.
Well, like you said, these players do know each other very well. I'm sure that they know each other's builds very well. So the question at that point becomes, how do you do something that will surprise someone that you know so well?
It's mind games, Nick.
It's mind games.
Mind games.
Mind games.
So in this situation, if you know each other very well, you may say, wow, I'm up 2-0. MechTastic is going to pull out some kind of cheese. So I'm going to prepare for that, but then MechTastic doesn't, thinking that you're going to think that, and he plays a macro game, and then you're caught with your pants down. So it's double mind games. It's actually harder, in my opinion, to play people you know than total strangers, because it gets totally in your head.
If I were PalaDiN in this situation, though,